We good? Time is 6 p.m. Good evening. Welcome to a regular and budget hearing meeting of the Board of Education of the Toms River Regional Schools. This meeting was announced to the public through a notice published in the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger on April 1, 2021, which constituted at least 48 hours notice as required by law under the Open Public Meetings Act.
Contessa.
Roll call, please.
Contessa.
Here.
Egan.
Here.
Howe.
Here.
Kidney.
Here.
Mazanko.
Here.
Palmieri. Williams.
Here.
Palazzo.
Here.
Nardini.
Here. Okay, need a motion to go into executive session.
Motion Palazzo. Second Howe.
Palazzo and Howe. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Education
6:01.
at this time moved closed session to be held in High School South at the Faculty Room, 55 Higher Street, Toms River, New Jersey, and virtually for the purpose of and to include Rice number 16445, number 15326, personnel number 14007, negotiations TREA, legal litigation, harassment, intimidation, and bullying report, fire and security drill report, suspension report, personnel superintendent search, other subject to change as outlined under the Open Public Meetings Act.
I need a motion to return to regular session.
Motion, Mazenko.
Second, Egan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Time is 7:33. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to this board meeting. Before we start, I want to mention Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers of our district, in any capacity that you are. It's a tough job, it's a wonderful job, and God bless you for doing it. Now, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent for his comments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few comments before we have our presentation. We've been talking about it last week. We spoke about returning 5 days. Next week will be the first full week we have back in school on a shortened day. We're looking forward to that. Welcoming our students back on all 5 days. Our quarantine numbers have been, which allows us to do this, has been lowering for the past month. In the past month, we've gone from about 800 students being quarantined to presently we have about 300. And we had about 41 staff members a month ago quarantined. We're down to about 17. I think as you see across the country, the vaccines are taking effect. And we're happy to announce that, again, we have a partnership with RWJ Barnabas, and they are offering vaccines for our students who are eligible. And presently, we have 169 students lined up and scheduled to be vaccinated this week with their parents' permission. So our staff has had numerous opportunities to come back and be vaccinated. So we are looking forward to, again, bringing back students 5 days a week and starting in a more normal routine. And hopefully, as the school year progresses, we will continue that trend and continue to open up our facilities. We're going to have a presentation on ESL. I think, Rich, you're going to do the introduction on that?
Yes, Mr. Gianello, thank you. I'm just going to take a moment to share my screen as well. Thank you. We are excited for the presentation this evening and are extremely proud of our ESL department and all of our amazing teachers who serve our English language learners. Toms River Regional Schools English Language Learner Program has been chosen as a 2020-2022 New Jersey Second Language Learning Regional Model Program. This is an initiative of the New Jersey Department of Education, and every 2 years, the state board recognizes districts and schools that have made outstanding contributions in meeting the needs of English language learners. This was a rigorous process, and the acknowledgement reflects the hard work of our entire ESL department and our supervisor of ESL and world language, Adrian Gold. Mrs. Gold is now going to take us through an overview of the process and our award-winning program. Adrian?
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for inviting me here today to share our Toms River Regional Schools, New Jersey Department of Education, K-12 ESL model program. It really is such an honor to share and celebrate our program in such a big way tonight. So this ESL model program application has been staring me in the face for the last 5 years. As Mr. Fastnock mentioned, it's a very rigorous and exhausting process and sometimes a little intimidating to get started. However, over the last few years, traveling around the state, working with other districts, I started to realize that we have something really special here in Toms River, and it was really time for us to apply. So in the summer of 2019, that was the time. I know it seems like decades ago, but we started the application process then, and later that fall, we found out we were selected to be a model site visit. During that site visit, representatives from the state and other model districts from the past came out to visit Walnut Street Elementary School and High School North. They interviewed teachers, they visited classrooms, they spoke with students, they evaluated our curriculum, and our visit lasted almost an entire day. By the end of the visit, they were so impressed by not only the levels of support that we have for our English language learners in our program, but also the professional development offered to classroom teachers, the buy-in from district administrators, from building administrators, the level of collaboration among teachers, and the amount of family and community involvement. We left that day totally energized and so excited. And in March, when kind of our whole world turned upside down, we really got some great news. Lori Ramella from the New Jersey Department of Education Bilingual Department called and said we were awarded this program, not just for one school, but for our K-12 magnet locations. None of this can happen in a bubble, however. If it wasn't for our transportation department, central registration, building secretaries, guidance counselors, principals, none of this could be possible. Thank you to our district administrators who have really supported all of our ideas in expanding our program and growing our services over the years. While I'm lucky enough to be the one presenting to you tonight, it's really our ESL teachers that have made all of this possible. While it's always great to be recognized for a job well done with this model program distinction, this model program really was validation for us that we're doing what's best for kids, that we're honoring their cultures, that we're advocating for their opportunities, that we're giving them all the support that they need to reach their full potential each day. So who are our English learners in our district? Currently, we have 303 English learners district-wide. I say that this is current numbers because by the end of the week, we'll probably add another few more. In fact, in the last 5 weeks, we've added 10 English learners to our roster, and I expect that that number will continue to grow. In fact, it's been an 11% increase since last year, a 44% increase since 2015. And if I go back to 2011, I would safely bet on a 130% increase in our population. So what does this mean for our program? It's mean we've had to grow and expand and reevaluate our model and think in innovative ways. So we've added magnet locations at the elementary school and at the high school. We've shifted our program from high-intensity ESL, moving toward a full sheltered English model, which is an increase in collaboration among ESL teachers and content classroom teachers. Here's another interesting fact. We have 24 languages spoken across our district. Roughly 1,800 students in our district report that another language besides English is spoken at home. In fact, we submit a bilingual waiver at the end of every school year for Spanish, and we're equally as close to submitting one for Arabic and Vietnamese. What does this really mean? It means that our students need us. Our students, they have faces, they have names. They're our future doctors, lawyers, neighbors, soldiers, politicians, parents, and community members. They're a reason why, and the reason why that we've really worked to grow our program and services. These are just a few of the highlights that really have made us this distinct model program: our sheltered English instruction, our commitment to professional development, our intervention process and programs, our family involvement, and our support for newcomers. Sheltered English instruction is a 15-hour intensive training and coaching for all classroom teachers that support English learners in their classrooms. It happens over a period of 2 years and really has changed the culture of relationships and collaborations in each one of the buildings. It has taken our English learners from my students or your students, and now they're our students. Over the last 3 years, our English as a second language teachers have presented nearly 40 workshops district-wide and across the state, from district-wide resources such as Padlet and Google Classroom, workshops in their building on district PD days, to presenting at the state level in New Jersey, NJPSA. We've also formed some community partnerships, honoring our health and wellness committees, along with partnering with Monmouth University's Central Jersey Consortium for Equity and Excellence. But celebrating our students' excellence is the easy part. Each year, 80% of our seniors that are English learners graduate with this high school honor of the Seal of Biliteracy, and not one, not two, but sometimes 3 or 4 languages. Our students are receiving scholarships, they're receiving grants, they're exploring science, and they just continue to amaze us each year. But after all of this and all these great things I have told you about, we looked at our program and said it's still not enough. Our students need more time and they need more support. And that's where we came up with innovative ways to use our title funding. And Title III ESL Basic Skills Program was formed, and the Title I ESL program. These programs are intensive programs that support our students beyond their ESL services each day. At the elementary level, it's a push-in support program during classroom periods, and for the intermediate and high school programs, it's an extended school day where they receive support from the ESL teacher in their content area classes. Over the last year, 15% of our students are newcomers, which means they have just arrived to the country with little or no English, sometimes a limited or interrupted formal education. Can you imagine coming to a new country in the middle of a pandemic, not speaking any English in a virtual environment? It's terrifying. They're our most needy students who need some of our most intensive support. We're working to put together newcomer kits so that each student that arrives has a special level of support and also a support for classroom teachers, where inside these kits there's technology access, there's manipulatives, there's all of the things that a teacher might need to implement to help the student assimilate and have success in their first few weeks arriving in the school. But this is possibly the most rewarding part of our entire program, where we see the most fruits of our labor are these ESL family nights that we host 3 or 4 times a year. While they've definitely changed over the last few years, we've shifted from providing information to families to providing experiences to families that really let them learn alongside their children and bond with our community and bond with our schools and our ESL teachers. This picture that you see up here, this is from our October 2019 Family Spooky Steam Night. We packed the cafeteria at Walnut Street Elementary School, and families were so amazed and exploring science and engineering concepts. Fast forward to March of this year, while our venue definitely has changed from standing room only cafeterias to a virtual environment, we still had 65 families come to our Google Meet. They attended a virtual planetarium visit and stayed on with us for nearly 2 hours to complete some hands-on activities. These are just the results of positive relationship building, building trust, and building connection to our community. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity to present to you our program, for your continued support. We look forward to being able to grow our program and our services to continue to support the excellence of our English language learners.
Any questions from the board?
I had a question, Mr. Nardini, if I may.
Yes.
That was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. I learned quite a bit. I was interested, you mentioned a waiver. Can you talk a little bit about what's involved in that and why we would need one?
Sure. So the New Jersey Department of Education has said that if you have more than 20 English learners in one language subgroup, district-wide, if you are not implementing a bilingual program, you need to tell them why and how you're supporting those students in other ways. So they give you options. You can do a high-intensity ESL program, which is at least 2 periods of ESL during a day. You can do a sheltered English model. You could do dual immersion. We have found that pulling students out of the classroom for 2 periods a day really isn't building that collaboration and that joint ownership and accountability of, checking on the progress and these students being our students. The sheltered English model has really helped us transform the culture in the buildings and the classrooms and build those relationships and joint ownership of our students as our students.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that all of our Toms River Regional students are all of our Toms River Regional students. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
No.
Okay. Mr. Nardini, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Gillinella. Now we're going to have the student representatives representing High School East, Sarah Pasqualetto.
What a month it has been since we last spoke. With spring break and the end of the year approaching, Toms River High School East has sure kept busy. I would like to begin by acknowledging our April Seniors of the Month, Ashley Steck and Nicholas Costa. Ashley and Nicholas are actively involved in school extracurricular activities while maintaining impressive academic records. Congratulations to our Employees of the Week, Mrs. Carol Nigro, Miss Ashley Fitzgerald, and Mrs. Erin Cosentino. All three of these ladies show their Raider pride each and every day and represent the true values of being a Raider. Great job to our Character Club for collecting donations for the homeless. The club thanks anyone who supported this cause. On Monday, March 21st, High School East celebrated World Down Syndrome Day. The special needs program at East greeted students with stickers and even got the chance to speak on the loudspeakers in the morning. What a great day that was. Our National Honor Society members have really outdone themselves this year with their service projects. As an example, Renata Marr presented to our staff for her NHS project, which was Talk with Teachers Promoting Racial Equity at High School East Thursday afternoon. Renata stepped out of her comfort zone to share her perspective on equity issues and how our school could continue to meet the needs of our culturally diverse student population. Shout out to Junior Michael Piccarani, who spearheaded a program to help community members schedule COVID vaccinations at Atlantic Care Medical Center. Thank you to Mrs. Carol Lulius and our incredible guidance department for their outstanding efforts to promote post-secondary education through the Ocean County Schools Counselors Association Spring College Fair. There were more than 147 colleges, universities, technical schools, and military registered at the event. High School East students' attendance was second highest in Ocean County. We are very proud of our counselors for the commitment to the excellence of our students. The Eastside Theater Company is rehearsing for their spring musical of Godspell. Although in-person tickets are limited to families, the shows will be streamed May 13th through the 16th. The sophomore class of 2023 held a Pliables fundraiser. The junior class of 2022 began selling their Battle of the Classes shirts and are promoting and planning their outdoor prom. And the senior class of 2021 had another clothing drive and are currently selling senior lawn signs. They're also in full swing with planning prom, senior breakfast, senior night, and graduation. Time sure does fly. In regards to other news, students enrolled in advanced placement classes are getting ready to tackle their exams beginning in the next few weeks. Spring sports have also begun. The fourth marking period began, and now we're all just enjoying the time we have left. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you have a great night.
Thank you, Ms. Pasqualetto. Very well done. Okay, now we have Kylie Danielle representing High School North.
Spring has sprung at the home of the Mariner. We head into the last quarter of the school year excited for the many things we have accomplished thus far, along with the promise of upcoming events that annually define our school year. Students from the High School South and High School North political and legal education classes gathered at Town Hall late last month to participate in the New Jersey Model Congress. Toms River students joined virtually with other students from across the state for this authentic learning experience. The Mariners passed 14 bills out of committee. Several members of our team were named outstanding delegates. Congratulations to 3 creative writing students who were named for the outstanding achievement at the Ocean County Teen Arts Festival. James Claylow, whose one-act play, The Audience, was selected for the top honor and will compete in the virtual state festival in June. Congratulations to the Nautical Star Theater Company and the Theater Academy for their wins at the Ocean County Teen Arts Competition. They will advance to the virtual State Teen Arts Festival scheduled for June. Congratulations to our Dance Academy for their performances at the Teen Arts Festival. Many will continue onto the State Festival. Last week, the Nautical Star Theater premiered their musical, A Killer Party. It is an incredible movie musical that is receiving rave views from all over the community. The cast, crew, and their families gathered for a special screening on Saturday night in order to honor their senior thespians. It was a wonderful show, and congratulations to everyone involved for their hard work and dedication. Congratulations to our FBLA chapter for their achievements in the State Leadership Conference. Many members of the group are moving on to compete on the national level this spring. Athletically, our Mariners are completing their winter seasons and are moving on to the spring. All of our teams are performing well in the early season action. Senior John O'Donnell captured his second straight heavyweight region wrestling championship and finished as the second-ranked heavyweight wrestler in all of New Jersey this past Sunday. As a demonstration of the determination we have all displayed throughout the last year, John quickly turned onto the golf course the following day and shot a 39 in his first match this spring. We are all so proud of him. Senior Cameron Kennett was selected to play in a national all-star soccer game. 45 of the nation's girls' elite high school soccer players from fall playing states and 6 of the nation's elite coaches will take part in the 10th annual High School All-American Game sponsored by Bimbo, Adidas, and Continental Tire on May 29, 2021 in St. Louis, Missouri. Congratulations to our April Student of the Month, Amanda Brodsky and Michael Indovina. Amanda has been a member of our field hockey and lacrosse teams. She serves as a team senior in charge and is involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters, Captain's Crew, Interact, Class of 2021, and Roots and Shoots. Amanda volunteers in our school with Writing Center and outside of school at Community Medical Center and the Ocean County Library. She has been inducted into National Honor Society and received her academic letter each year of high school. Amanda will be attending Penn State University, majoring biobehavioral health and with the hopes of becoming an occupational therapist or a physician's assistant. Michael has been inducted into the National Honor Society and the International Thespian Society. He is a member of the Nautical Stars Theater Company, Polaris, and the Fine Arts strand of our Arts Academy. He has earned the Seal of Biliteracy and has been a regional competitor at Poetry Out Loud at the Count Basie Theater. Michael's poem Little Sister and his pen and ink artwork The Wolf will be featured at this year's New Jersey State Teen Arts Festival. Michael is still deciding between Drew University and Wesleyan University, majoring in English and Visual Arts. Congratulations to our April Staff Member of the Month, Mr. Brian Lomer. Mr. Lomer has been a safety officer here at High School North since 2014. Prior to joining the Mariners, he was employed by the Toms River Police Department for 25 years as both a parole officer and a detective. In his spare time, Mr. Lomer loves to fish, go to the beach, and spend time with his family. Brian grew up in Toms River and moved prior to attending High School North. He is very happy that he does now, and so are we. Thank you all, and I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you, Kylie. Very well done. Okay, representing High School South and filling in for Susanna Brown, we have Connor Riccardi.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to our great building here at High School South. As you said earlier, my name is Connor Riccardi, and I am the student body president here at High School South. And this evening, I will be filling in as your High School South correspondent. As you may have observed, as you have been to previous meetings, your usual meeting attendee and South Representative Susanna Brown is absent from today's meeting as she prepares for the launch of our new school musical. Over the last month at High School South, it has been so much fun to see all of the returning students to our halls and to see the return of many iconic traditions to the home of the Indian. Spring sports are now in full effect, with our excellent teams taking to the fields and courts to battle it out with our rivals across the county and beyond. I would now like to bring you some of the announcements from our school. At the beginning of April, the Student Council declared junior Ayanna Hudson the winner of our March Madness TikTok challenge after a matchup with videos submitted by other freshmen, sophomores, and seniors. After the success of the class of 2020 said March Madness TikTok challenge, the freshman class moved forward with their month-long trivia competition, Are You Smarter Than a Ninth Grader? Teachers and students alike get the opportunity to answer questions on the topics of popular culture and a ninth grade curriculum. The challenge is ongoing and will continue until the end of this month, leading directly into an unannounced month-long event from the class of 2023. The Spirit Club held 2 competitions prior to our spring break, a guessing game on St. Patrick's Day and an Easter egg hunt on our last school day before the holiday. Junior Alexa Gonzalez won the guessing challenge, and the golden Easter eggs were found by the team of Paige and Chloe Solutions, as well as students Asher Gibbons and Haley Thomas. Additionally, the French Honor Society held their annual sock drive from March 22nd through March 25th, and all socks collected will be donated to those in need. We would also like to congratulate freshman Eden Sanzone on donating the greatest amount of socks out of all of our donors. We would also like to send a huge congratulations to one of our seniors, Jake Rice, who moved on to the Delaware Valley Science Fair for placing second at the New Jersey Shore Science Fair with his physics project, The Effects of Non-Conductive Sleeve on Muon Interaction Rate. And I'm not going to pretend to know what I just said. Jake also placed first in out of all the 12th graders, in 3 states. Jake won a $15,000 scholarship to the Harrisburg University of Science and Technology, and he will be attending Johns Hopkins in the fall for astrophysics. Huge congratulations to Jake. Our senior class is moving forward with our plans for the rest of the school year, including our prom, which will be happening just next door downtown on Washington Street. As I stated earlier, the spring sports season is in full swing, but before the start of our season, our winter sports finished up their seasons incredibly well. Our girls volleyball team had an impressive run all the way to the state tournament finals. In the quarter and semifinals, the girls triumphed over Mainland and Absegami, but unfortunately, they lost to Shawnee in the finals after a great battle in both sets. The girls gymnastics team finished up their season with wins over Brick Township and Central Regional. In the final meet of their season, the team put up a score of 100.6, breaking our school record. We would also like to congratulate track runners Taylor Guthrie and Lily Oliver, who qualified for the short conference championship meet in the 2-mile and 1-mile race, respectively. The boys track team also came in with an excellent win over Toms River North and East, with first place finishes in various races from Ryan Tobin, Robbie Tapp, and Anthony Tadaro. Senior Tyler Kanopka placed first in the shot put competition. To finish out their season, the girls swim team emerged victorious from big meets against Central Regional, Jackson Memorial, and Toms River East, ending the season with a record of 6-1. The boys swim team also defeated East and Jackson Memorial to close out their season. We would like to send out a huge congratulations to senior Dylan Sitta for being selected for the first team all-shore swim team in the 100 butterfly and 100 breaststroke, the race for which he also broke the school record. Moving on to more current news, the boys golf team have had an excellent start to their season with wins over Toms River East and Southern Regional, and our baseball and softball teams have also had great starts to their season as well, with multiple wins each. Our very own head baseball coach, Ken Frank, is now only 5 wins away from 900 career wins, an impressive feat. As I mentioned previously, your typical South representative, Susanna Brown, is absent this evening due to an event relating to the release of our new school musical, Bright Star concert version. Our very own Susanna Brown stars in the show alongside members of the Thespian Society, as well as new performers. The show plays online tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday at 7, in addition to a 2 p.m. Saturday matinee. Tickets can be purchased online at trhssouth.booktix.com. Finally, I would also like to congratulate this month's Seniors of the Month, Isabella Gluck, Olivia Kurkowski, and Dominic Katz, all of whom are excellent students and members of the senior class. I'd like to thank you very much for your time and allowing me to fill in for Susanna on this fine evening, and have a great night.
Thank you, Connor. You did a great job. Okay, normally at this time, we excuse our student representatives, but I'm going to ask them to stay tonight because Mr. Mayo is going to give out the student awards.
Good evening. I'm proud to announce that we have a number of high school students from South receiving recognition this evening for their athletic achievements during the winter sports season. With us this evening is Mr. Carell, also known as the voice of the Indians, to introduce our coaches and who will then present the awards.
Good evening. My name is Dave Carell, and I am the publicity coordinator at High School South. First, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the Board of Education as well as the upper administration for allowing us this time to commend students for their outstanding achievements. Tonight, we are going to honor Toms River South students who went above and beyond to achieve excellence in their respective sports. As Principal Sitta would say, these student athletes are Southish. Our first coach to speak tonight, basketball coach, Mr. Arminio.
Good evening. I'm Coach Vincent Arminio, and my staff and I would like to recognize this student athlete for his individual basketball achievements of breaking a new school record of rebounds in a single game here at Toms River South. This record was previously held for 28 seasons by standout Corey Albano with 26 rebounds in the 92-93 season. Jerry Ferrigno was catapulted into the record books with an outstanding 29 rebounds in a single game versus Toms River East. On the night of February 9th, 2021, Ferrigno and the Indians traveled to crosstown rival Toms River East and battled in a hard-fought victory, 64-55. In that game, Jerry hauled in 10 offensive rebounds and 19 defensive rebounds in the win. We recognize this athlete for not his height, but by the size of his heart. This is a prime example of Jerry's perseverance, his attitude, and his relentlessness. Jerry has been a great addition to the Indians basketball program, as well as a role model for any student walking through the halls of Toms River South. He exemplifies what it means to be a true student athlete in his efforts not only on the court, but in the classroom as well. We wish senior Jerry Ferrigno nothing but success in his future endeavors, and we can only hope for our future student athletes here at Toms River South to follow in his footsteps. Jerry, it's been a pleasure being your coach this year, and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arminio.
Next, I would like to introduce our boys track coach, Mr. Schaefer.
Good evening. My name's Joe Schaefer. I'm a chemistry teacher and coach at High School South. And Toms River High School South would like to recognize a very special Indian for his various accomplishments over the last year. This individual goes above and beyond in both the classroom and on the field. He's a student that will leave a lasting legacy for his commitment, determination, leadership, and kindness for many years to come. He's the true definition of a student athlete. This student's name is Tyler Konopka. This year, Tyler broke the school indoor shot put record with the throw of 61 feet, 6 inches. This record has placed Tyler as the #2 shot putter in the state of New Jersey and the 4th in the entire country. Although this is a major accomplishment, Tyler consistently strives and is more concerned with helping his teammates become the best they can be than to recognize his own personal accomplishments. This is a true testament to Tyler's character, and it is one that will carry on through High School South and beyond for years to come. He will carry on his legacy this fall as a student athlete at Princeton University. On behalf of Mr. Sitta, faculty, coaches, and student body of High School South, we wish Tyler the best of luck with his future endeavors, and thank you for a memorable 4 years. Congratulations.
And And lastly, I would like to introduce our swim coach. He's going to take care of both the boys and girls swim teams tonight. Our coach, boys coach, Mr. Hurtis, is at a lacrosse game. So I'd like to call down our coach, Coach Francis, and all the swimmers. Come on down.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to read a little bit to you about the multiple awards that we're giving out tonight. Congratulations to the following Indianific swimmers for being recognized by the National Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association as academic All-Americans. To be so recognized, these swimmers had to achieve a 3.75 cumulative grade point average for 7 semesters of their high school career and have also earned a varsity letter in their senior year. These swimmers not only performed brilliantly in the swimming pool, they were stars in the classroom. From the boys team, Dylan Sitta, Bo Keelan, and Jack Parks. And from the girls team, Kayla Romaine and Devin Minetti. Also, we would like to recognize Dylan Sitta for breaking the long-standing records in both the 100 breaststroke and the 100 butterfly. Dylan will be attending Chapel Hill, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill next year, and we wish him all the best of luck. Last but not least, we would also like to recognize sophomore Samantha Dugan for breaking her own record this year in the 100-yard backstroke. Congratulations, South Swimmers. You make us proud. Sam. Dylan Sitta.
Mr. Sid, I don't know about you, but I'll tell you what, I'm one proud Indian tonight. It's unbelievable. There's nothing like maroon and white. You people that know my dad, Mr. Tom Zipper South, he bleeds maroon, and I'm probably maybe a couple steps below him. I love this school. There's nothing like it, and there's nothing to me that makes me more proud than honoring Toms River High School South students. Let's put our hands together for them one more time. We love you. You did a great job. Connor, fantastic job. Girls from North and East, great job tonight. And just remember this. At Toms River High School South, our new motto is, no mask will hide our pride. God bless you all and have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Corral. At this time, our student reps, if you'd like to leave, you may. Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay, coming up next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Bill Doring, our Business Administrator, to give you an overview of the 2021-2022 school district budget. Mr. Doring?
Thank you, Mr. Nardini. We actually had information over on the tables for when people walk in the door, including the overview document, as well as all the detailed financial information. Of course, we spent one full dedicated night on March 31st, our Citizens Budget Advisory Committee meeting, where we unpacked the budget and went through the different major areas of the budget. So that was our detailed presentation. Tonight is really just an overview. So I'll go through a few key points. The general fund expenditure budget as proposed at $225.3 million is a decrease of 2% from the prior year. The final budget has no reallocations or changes from the tentative budget. On the revenue side of the budget, we know we had the loss of $8.1 million in state aid. We also had a mandatory 2% tax levy increase under the S2 law, which provided $3.2 million. And just to clarify, that 2% tax levy increase is required by law. You could change the budget 100 different ways and 100 different times, and you are still increasing your tax levy 2% by law. We also have increased on the revenue side the utilization of surplus and reserves by $1 million, up to $6 million in total. We just have to keep an eye on that because it'll be hard to sustain. The expenditure side, we had the 70 staff position cuts, and we are hopeful that most will be covered through attrition or utilization of the ESSER II grant funds, with our plan there being to retain 30 teaching staff positions using those ESSER II grant funds. And we're able to use those grant funds over the 21-22 budget year and the 22-23 budget year. This provides relief on a temporary basis, but could create a fiscal cliff a few years down the road. So again, we must be mindful of that. We're also seeing on the expenditure side the significant decrease in the benefit budget as noted on the overview sheet. There are no proposed cuts to athletic or co-curricular programs. The expenditure side includes contractual and estimated salary increases. It includes an increase of $700,000 for non-public aid in lieu, with the $232,000 offset on the revenue side in terms of additional budgeted non-public transportation aid. And then leading to the tax impacts. In the financial information, you'll see the final page is the tax grid. And what you're seeing is the tax increase for Toms River Township at a 0.6% increase, 0.6%. South Toms River at 1.5%. Beechwood at 0.6%. Again, that's 0.6%. And Pine Beach at 2.7%. And again, that will not change based on the fact that by law we are required to increase the tax levy by 2% for the general fund. And just in general, to note that efforts are still ongoing in terms of trying to minimize the financial damage and get some relief, not only for now, but more importantly for the future. But those efforts are not slowing down at all. Okay, and that's what I have, Mr. Nardini, in terms of an overview.
Mr. Dorian, thank you very much.
Real quick, Mr. Nardini, I just want to thank Mr. Doring and his staff, the assistant superintendents, the administrative team here in central administration as well in the schools for working hard at bringing this budget in. This is not a good budget. Anytime you're cutting teaching staff and general staff all over the district to the extent that we are is going to eventually hurt students and hurt the community as a whole. We are working hard trying to get Trenton to realize their mistake, but having political leaders admit that this is a mistake has been a difficult process, but I think we are making some headway in that. We are using federal funds, understanding that is it a temporary fix. We are dedicating any federal funds that we use to bringing back teachers. And we will hopefully, under the American Rescue Plan, get additional federal funds to extend that out more than the 2 years we already are. But again, I just want to thank the administrative team and the whole administrative team and all the support personnel for putting this budget together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Need a motion to open the public hearing on the 2021-2022 school district budget.
Motion Palazzo.
Second, Nardini. Roll call.
Contessa.
Here.
Egan.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Kidney.
Yes.
Mazenko.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
Yes.
Nardini.
Here. Okay, are there any questions from the board before I open us up to guests and press?
I do have one question.
Yes, Mr.
I know
Keating.
it's kind of a guess at this point, but do we know how many staff positions after ESSER funding is filled in are looking to still be cut after this?
There's a couple moving targets we have in that. We are dedicating in federal fund 30 positions as of now. We have presently, and you see an extensive list of retirements tonight, but I'm assuming we have about 24 to 25 retirements. Now, if the certifications match up in some of the areas that we're looking to reduce, then we don't have to cut people. But remember, positions are still being cut even if people are not being cut. So presently, we're hoping to keep that number of people losing their positions or losing their jobs to a low number. And if we get more retirements and if we get any more federal money that we can switch around, then we hopefully will be successful in allowing people to keep their jobs. But I will repeat that this is a temporary fix and that we are still cutting positions, if not people. I don't know if that answered your question, Mr. Kidney.
It does. If, let's say, worst case scenario, this gets pushed to 2 years, which I believe this extends to, what will we be looking at?
Well, I don't want to try to foretell the future because we're obviously at the end of the process. If the state doesn't change the funding formula, we're looking at a disaster in this town and a disaster in neighboring towns too. We're not the only ones in this situation. So again, I don't want to predict the future because hopefully the state will understand the position we're in and change the formula of how this district is funded. It really rests in their hands, and we will continue to make our efforts to make them realize that.
Thank you.
Any other questions from our board? Hearing none, I will open it up to inquiries from guests and press based on budget hearing only. You're limited to 3 minutes, and please stick to that. As per board policy 0167, members of the public are invited to comment on the public hearing only during this public comment portion of the meeting, and each speaker's comment will be limited to 3 minutes in duration, and this public session will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. The board, pursuant to Open Public Meetings Act, will not publicly discuss I'm reading this from... We will discuss budget hearing matters only. Okay. All statements, comments, and questions shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question individual board members, administrators, or staff. The board will give all comments appropriate consideration. Board members and employees retain a right of privacy and are protected against defamation and slander according to the laws of New Jersey. When you call in, please state your name, address for the record, or when you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you. Anyone from the audience? Come up, sir, please.
My name is, can you hear me?
Hold on. Can you get that mic on? Okay, try it now. Okay, try it now.
Okay, my name is Steve Makar. I live at 612 North End Avenue in Toms River. And my question for the board, I'm going to direct it towards the budgetary end of it. I'm interested to know, is any funding in the budget being utilized to implement any form of critical race theory teachings in this school system?
I'll refer that over to Mr. Gillinella.
Well, we're under the auspices or direction of the Department of Education, and we'll follow the law and the rules. What you're talking about, I think, is a relatively new law. I don't think we're doing that right now, but Kara, maybe you can answer this better than I can.
So the critical race theory is a concept that has come up as an interpretation of some of the changing standards. At this point right now, we revise our curriculum documents as per the state mandates. And right now, critical race theory is not part of the state sanctioned curriculum standards.
Okay, thank you. If that should change, can people like to be notified about that, obviously?
Absolutely. As some of these newer concepts make their way onto our curriculum documents, they come before our board for curriculum for adoption and approval. So, yes.
Is there a place that I can find out how our curriculum is set up in the township?
Absolutely. The majority of our curriculum documents are online. Some of, if you go to our website and scroll down, there is a link for our curriculum documents, and they're separated by elementary and secondary curriculum. There are some new standards that are being, each year, certain departments or certain content areas or changes are mandated. So what you'll usually see is approval is done usually in the summer months for new curriculum documents, and you'll see those posted in September, October.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Makar. Anyone else from the audience? Hearing none, we'll open up our phone lines. Call in to 732-505-5600. Good evening, and thank you for calling into the Toms River Board of Ed meeting. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Debbie Benedictus, and my address is 29 Camelot Drive in Toms River, New Jersey.
Okay, Debbie, can you spell your last name, please?
Sure, it's capital D as in David E, capital B as in boy E, N as in Nancy E, D-I-C-T-I-S.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. How may we help you?
Well, I'm calling in tonight to express a concern that I have as to what is happening to a very extraordinary and hardworking teacher at the Silver Bay Elementary School. She apparently needs to be virtual, due to a medical situation, but now is being forced to leave to no other choice of her own.
Okay, Mrs. DeBenedetto, this is, I'm not cutting you off, but if you will, call back later on. All right, we're open to the public for all matters. This is strictly for the budget right now.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I don't mean anything bad by it, but thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We have no other callers in queue. So we move on to Wendy.
Need a motion to close the public hearing on the 2021-2022 budget.
Motion Palazzo?
Second Mazenko.
Roll call.
Contessa.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Kidney.
Yes.
Mazenko.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
Yes.
Nardini.
Yes.
Need a motion to adopt the 2021-2022 school district budget resolution and tax resolutions.
Motion Palazzo?
Second, Nardini. Roll call.
Contessa.
This is to vote on passing this budget, is that correct?
Yes.
I just wanted to say, first of all, I really do appreciate all the hard work that goes into putting this budget together. I know Mr. Doring and the assistant superintendents, Mr. Gialanella as well, how hard you work to do this and how much you care and believe that it gets more difficult each year to manage this district with less and less. However, with that being said, I was not a part of setting the budget goals last year, and I'm not really in alignment with the cuts from last year with regards to sports. And as we saw in the presentations that happened, I'd like to see more money shifted into those programs, as I believe they are equally as important as any academic offering for a thorough and efficient education. I've also never voted to raise taxes, and while I keep being told that it's the law and we have no choice, I have a vote. So for this year's budget, my vote is going to be a no.
Egan.
I originally was going to vote no, and then after speaking to Mr. Doring and Mr. Gialanella and hearing how they're working very hard to make sure that we keep as many staff members as possible, because I feel like just because losing staff through attrition is really not the answer, because that leaves openings. So, but because I was convinced with the way they presented and explained themselves, I'm going to vote yes on this budget.
How?
I don't think anyone likes to see our budget slashed every year. We're hoping that the state will eventually step up and realize what they're doing to us is a crime, what they do to our students. Mr. Doring and Mr. Gialanella and the administration have worked tirelessly on this budget. I know it's not what anyone wants to see or hear. I was happy to hear that we are not down too many bodies, and hopefully with any stabilization aid we receive, we'll be able to keep those. Hopefully we get a number for that aid soon. So I will vote yes. And just so the public knows, this is a living document, so it could always change if money comes our way. So yes, Wendy, sorry. Forgot that part.
Kidney.
I can appreciate, especially comparison from this year to last year, how much effort has been placed on not touching student programs. There seems to be more of an effort to make sure that teacher positions are covered, and we're taking as little of a loss as we can, if only a Band-Aid for 2 years. I vote yes.
Mazenko.
Obviously, I don't like the cuts, even if they're through attrition. I'm happy that we're using that ESSER money to fill in some of those gaps. Concerned about the fiscal cliff possibility, but we need to use the money that's in front of us right now, and I know more is coming our way with the American Rescue Plan, so I vote yes.
Palmieri.
Bill, you're the best that there is, and I echo Ms. Contessa's sentiments.
I just need to say, I know that the tax raise is a mandate, but I'm just not comfortable with a mandated tax raise where there are teacher positions that are not secure. So I'm going to vote no respectfully.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
So I'm going to get it out of the way and say I'm going to vote yes on this budget, but it is extremely disturbing to me that we are being subject to these god-awful cuts and being forced to use money that was granted to us based on our Title I status, our free and reduced lunch eligibility for the purpose of recovering from potential learning loss, for social emotional learning, and for upgrading our HVAC, PPE, and cleaning methods to basically make sure that our children stay in similar class sizes next year. I appreciate everything the administrative team has done to make this budget hurt children as little as possible. But when we talk about staff cuts, we're talking about adults. When we talk about adequate funding for education, we are talking about providing children with the resources they need to gain the content required in the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. Standards that provide children in our state with the best education available in our country, if they live in the right zip code. Our children deserve fair funding. This Board of Education can only raise the tax rate 2% each and every year. And as you have heard by the people who have voted before me, not everyone is agreeable even to that. We need our state legislators to step in and help us make sure that our children, our schools, and our community are cared for and that we can sustain them going forward. We need to be able to provide our children that are coming up, the children that are enrolling for kindergarten, with the exact same opportunities that my children have received and Mr. Nardini's children received here in the Toms River Regional Schools. It is imperative that our legislators please recognize that they have made a grievous error in S2 and that they correct that. Thank you.
Nardini.
I vote yes, and I want to thank Mr. Doring, Mr. Gillinella, and their entire staff for making this work. You know, the state has gave us a very, very rocky road. It's almost impossible to get through, but they're doing it, and they got us through another year, and I thank them for that. Okay. Committee reports can be found on the Toms River Schools website. And I'd like to ask Vice President Palazzo to update us on a superintendent search.
Thank you, Mr. Nardini. Good evening, everyone. As the chair of the Superintendent Search Committee, I would like to express my dismay at the current very public discussion about a portion of the superintendent hiring process that is intended to be held confidential to the non-conflicted members of the Toms River Regional Schools Board of Education. There's a lot of information floating around in the public domain about the process, and much of it is inaccurate. As such, it's my desire tonight to give the public a bit of a recap of the process to date and where we stand right now. First, the timeline. On September 17, 2020, Superintendent David Healy announced his retirement to our community. On September 30th and October the 5th, the Board of Education met to discuss a path forward for our district. It was decided at that time that we did not wish to expend the financial resources needed for a national search conducted by an outside firm. The board would conduct the search with the assistance of our own human resources staff, our business office staff, and our labor attorney. On October the 9th, a community survey was posted to our district website, shared out in a press release, and emailed to Toms River Regional Schools parents. This survey received 1,647 responses. A separate survey was emailed to different district staff. It received 510 responses. The board wanted to use these surveys to gain a better understanding of our community's aspirations for our school district. We were interested in using the information collected to understand what you wanted to preserve and the goals that you have for our district moving forward. From October 15, 2020 through October 23, 2020, a series of virtual community meetings were held, including one specifically for staff. During these public meetings, stakeholders were invited to share what they loved about Toms River Regional Schools and their aspirations for our district moving forward. The carefully crafted advertisement for the superintendent position first appeared in the Asbury Park Press on October the 28th and the Star Ledger on October the 29th. The position was also posted on schooljobs.com. We accepted applications from interested candidates, both internal and external, through November the 10th. In November, the process stalled due to COVID. When we were able to resume, it was determined that we would be unable to conduct a thorough process, concluding in the appointment of a permanent superintendent, before the new board members elected in November were seated in January. The board then appointed interim superintendent Gio Lanella to lead our district while we concluded our superintendent search and interview process. We did that at the December board meeting. At the time of his appointment, Mr. Gio Lanella made it clear that he would only stay for 6 months. On January the 6th, 2021, new board members Contessa and Palmieri were sworn in, and the non-conflicted board members met immediately after in an executive session to discuss how and when we would proceed with superintendent candidate interviews. Invitations to interview were communicated to qualified candidates on January the 21st. First round interviews began the first week of February. It was a pleasure to meet the talented professionals who applied. The candidates were asked a series of questions so the board could get to know them beyond their resumes. The most impressive candidates were invited to come back for second round interviews in mid-March. Each candidate was asked to prepare a 20-minute presentation on Toms River Regional Schools' greatest challenge as we approach the 2021-2022 school year and the goals they would expect the board to approve that address that challenge. To support the presentation, they were also asked to prepare and be ready to discuss a district budget that supported those goals. The presentations were fantastic. 2 candidates, one internal and one external, were invited to return for another interview. Those interviews were held on April 14th and 15th. The board agreed at that time to discuss the merits of the candidates in an executive session at our April 21st committee meeting. On April 21st, just after our board president opened the regularly scheduled committee meetings, a board member who was conflicted on the superintendent search made a statement on the record concerning some alleged interference from an unnamed elected official. This was the first I had heard this statement. The non-conflicted board members then met as scheduled both before and after the committee meetings to discuss third-round superintendent candidate interviews. During that meeting, it became clear that some board members were not yet ready to appoint a superintendent. The meeting was adjourned with the understanding that we would revisit the topic during this evening's executive session. There was no straw poll taken during that meeting. There was no vote of any kind. 7 elected members of the board were present. The conversation that happened in that room was then and remains now confidential. The applicants' names also remain confidential. On the morning of April 27th, I checked my email to find that I'd been CC'd on an email sent from one of our elected board members to the Toms River Town Council and several reporters. That email and the confidential information it revealed was the topic of some articles on digital media and some heated conversation at the Toms River Town Council meeting yesterday. Councilman Turnbuck observed that the Town Council and the Board of Education are 2 separate entities, each with its own area of responsibility in our community. He is correct. The elected members of the Board of Education do not run the school district. It is, however, our responsibility to the students, staff, and taxpayers to ensure that it is well run. We have 4 primary tasks that we're responsible for. Number 1, hire and supervise a superintendent or CSA. Number 2, provide the superintendent the guidance they need to ensure the district is well run through policy. Number 3, ensure the students are successful by approving curriculum. Number 4, pass and oversee a budget that provides the CSA the resources to offer a thorough and efficient education for our students within the means of our community. It is our obligation to make sure that we have an appointed superintendent in place when Mr. Giulianella leaves us on June 30th. The Board of Education owe him a debt of gratitude for stepping in to help us in our time of need when Mr. Healy left us in January. The county executive superintendent has offered to step in and help the elected Board of Education understand its obligation to appoint a superintendent that will be in place to run our district on July 1st. And it is my hope that despite all the distractions that seem to be diverting our attention from hiring a superintendent who will be ready and able to build capacity for our students with the resources we have, care for our community as if it were their own, even if it is not, and fight for fair funding for our district all on day one, that this board will refocus and get the job done they were elected to do done. It's also my hope that we will do it without airing any more of our dirty laundry or dragging our valued employees through the mud. The current atmosphere is not ideal, but we must recognize where we are and do the work required to get where we need to be. We owe that to our students, our staff, and our community. And lastly, I want to apologize personally to Mr. Sitta. I don't know if he's still here, but he didn't deserve the things that were printed about him. It was awful. I am very sorry that his name was even out there, and my most sincere apologies. Thank you, Mr. Nardini.
Thank you, Vice President Palazzo. Thank you very much. All right, we will now open up to inquiries from guests and press on agenda items only, limited to 3 minutes as per Board Policy 0167. Members of the public are invited to comment on agenda action items only during this public comment section of the meeting, and each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes in duration, and this public session will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. The board, pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, will not publicly discuss personnel matters. All statements, comments, and questions shall be directed by the presiding officer to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question individual board members, administrators, or staff. The board will give all comments appropriate consideration. Board members and employees retain the right of privacy and are protected against defamation and slander according to the laws of New Jersey. When you call in or when you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record, and I will open this up to anyone in the audience first. Hearing nobody in the audience? Okay. Seeing none, we will open it up to our virtual listeners. The call-in number is area code 732-505-5600. Nothing.
Because of the delay, we have to wait.
Okay.
There's a minute and a half delay. Is that what that is?
Okay, no problem. Aha, we go. Good evening. So, what's around here? Yeah, give me a minute to go back. Absolutely.
Are we at the end? Is this the last open session?
No.
No. There'll be another?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, if it's all right, just give them another minute. Somehow they're getting bounced.
Did the number come through?
It comes in and shuts right off. Watch. Good evening, and thank you for calling into the Toms River Board of Ed meeting. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, yes, this is Debbie calling back again. Is this the right time to call? Because I apologize, I called the wrong time before.
That was regarding the next section.
She wants.
It was regarding a teacher.
Yeah, Debbie, that will be the next time we open. It'll just be a few more minutes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Sorry.
Thank you for calling back. That's it? Okay. Seeing no one in the audience coming up and no more phone lines, we will open up to Wendy.
Need a motion for the approval of the resolution regarding state legislators' support of all the school districts for equitable state funding.
So move Nardini.
Second, Howe.
Roll call.
Contessa.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Kidney.
Yes.
Mazenko.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
Yes.
Nardini.
Yes.
Need a
Mr. Nardini,
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I just asked if Mr. Doran would briefly explain item number 17, because I think it's important to highlight.
Sure. Mr. Doring, if you will.
Sure. I'll explain it, but Wendy can read it. What this is a resolution to approve the refunding of a portion of our bonds, which is our debt from 2012-13 refunding bonds. And the windup is that refunding about $20 million in bonds will save us approximately $1 million in interest over the next 8 years.
Mr. Nardini, if I may.
Thank you,
Yes,
Mr. Doran.
Ms. Palazzo.
Mr. Doring, am I correct that that money goes directly to tax relief for our community?
Yes, it will through the debt service fund.
Thank you, sir.
Mrs. Mazenko, you good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Wendy, thank you.
Need a motion for the approval of the resolution of the Board of Education of the Toms River Regional School District in the County of Ocean, New Jersey, approving on the first reading a refunding school bond ordinance, providing for the refunding of A, all or a portion of its outstanding refunding school bonds, Series 2012, dated December 27, 2012, issued in the original principal amount of $17,635,000, and/or B, all of a portion of the outstanding refunding school bonds, Series 2013, dated May 23, 2013, issued in the original principal amount of $20,365,000, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $19,300,000 aggregate principal amount of the refunding school bonds of the board to effect such refunding.
So moved Nardini.
Second, Williams.
Roll call.
Contessa.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Kidney.
Yes.
Mazenko.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
Yes.
Nardini.
Yes.
Need a motion for the approval and adoption of the second reading of the following policies, regulations, and bylaws as listed in the agenda.
Motion Mazenko.
Second, Kidney.
Roll call.
Contessa.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Kidney.
Yes.
Mazenko.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
Yes.
Nardini.
Yes.
Need a motion for the approval of the award of a professional service contracts.
Motion, Williams.
Second, Kidney.
Roll call.
Contessa.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Kidney.
Yes.
Mazenko.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
Yes.
Nardini.
Yes.
Need a motion for the approval of the revised 2021-2022 pupil calendar.
Motion Mazenko.
Second, Kidney.
Roll call.
Contessa.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Kidney.
Yes.
Mazenko.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
Yes.
Nardini.
Yes.
Need a motion for the approval of the resolution pursuant to NJSA 18A 30-9 and 18A 30-9.1, approving carryover of vacation days for certain employees not taken because of duties directly related to a state of emergency.
Motion, Kidney.
Second. Roll call.
Contessa.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Kidney.
Yes.
Mazenko.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
Yes.
Nardini.
Yes.
Need a motion for the approval of agenda items number 22 through number 27 as listed in the agenda.
Motion Palazzo?
Second Mazenko.
Roll call.
Contessa.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Kidney.
Yes.
Mazenko.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
Yes.
Nardini.
Yes.
Need a motion for the approval and certification of the Board Secretary's report for February 2021.
Motion, Kidney.
Second Palazzo?
Roll call.
Contessa.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Howe.
Yes.
Kidney.
Yes.
Mazenko.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Palazzo.
Yes.
Nardini.
Yes.
Mr. Nardini, I'd like to recommend the personnel agenda 1 through 19 and the addendums 20 to 22. And then after the motion is done, I'd like to make a couple of comments.
So moved Nardini.
Second Palazzo?
Roll call.
No, he wants to make a
If I
comment
can just
first.
make some
Oh, before
comments.
the comments, I'm sorry. Okay.
And as I usually like to do, I want to honor the retirees, staff that is retiring from the district, and just mention how many years they have in education, if I can. Letha Adalizzi, 25 years, High School South Social Studies. Mike Aiello, Computer Literacy for 30 years. Daniel Batchelor, High School East Tech Ed Industrial Arts, a total of 31 years. Philip Beachy, High School East Math, 10 years, 14 in total in education. Deborah Brees is a special ed teacher for 25 years in Toms River and 27 total in education. Mary Casardo is a school nurse for 25 years. Gavin DeCapua, High School South business teacher for 32 years. David Fournier, High School South science teacher, 33 years in education. Lisa Martinez, a school nurse assistant for 17 years. Sylvia Pisnick is an intermediate East science teacher for 11 years. Joyce Tierney, intermediate East science teacher for 19 years. Wendy York, a grade 4 teacher for 19 years. Elizabeth Mackel, High School South basic skills math teacher for 30 years. Gail Parisi, High School North athletic secretary for 26 years. Mary Ann Steinhardt, High School East guidance secretary for 22 years. And Richard Widmeyer, a security guard for 6 years. I want to congratulate them on their retirement, thank them for the service for the students and community of Toms River. And as you see, we are losing a lot of experience.
Thank you, Mr. Gianella.
Roll call. Contessa?
Yes.
Egan?
Yes, except for number 8A, that's a no.
Howe?
Yes on everything but 8A also.
Kidney?
Yes.
Mazenko?
Yes.
Palmieri?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Palazzo?
Yes, with a comment. I want to congratulate our retirees, and at the same time, I want to acknowledge that sometimes it seems this time of year we're cheering for people to retire. We're looking for that breakage, and I want to take a moment to mourn the fact that we are losing such a valuable treasure chest of knowledge as these incredible educators walk out our doors. They mentor our new teachers and they care for our students as if they were their own children. And quite frankly, it pains me to watch people with 25 years teaching experience leave when they could probably teach for another 25 years. And many of them are likely leaving because our budget situation is just intolerable. So I want to say thank you to everyone who is retiring and moving along for their service, and let you know that we're really not glad that you're leaving. It's really kind of horrible for our kids, and it's a huge loss to our district, and we wish you well going forward. Thank you.
Nardini?
I vote yes, but I have a comment. I have to thank everybody. I too just retired after 48 years in business, and I worked before that too, but I'm getting to know what it's like. These are dedicated teachers. They're great people. What they did for our children, you can't put a price on it. And I sincerely thank them. And I happen to know two of them very well. Dan Baxter, I know him very well. And nobody knows what a great swimmer he is. He won a gold medal in the BVI. And Dave Fournier is my son-in-law. I told him I was going to bust his chops a little bit tonight, but I won't do that. He's a good guy. I love him. I love him as a son. And God bless you all, and thank you for what you have all done for our children.
Mr. Nardini, the superintendent recommends educational programs 1 through 8.
Motion Mazenko?
Second, Howe?
Roll call.
Contessa?
Yes.
Egan?
Yes.
Howe?
Yes.
Kidney?
Yes.
Mazenko?
Yes.
Palmieri?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Palazzo?
Yes.
Nardini?
Yes. Okay. Any old business or new business sorry, Ms. Egan, go right ahead. You know the drill.
Go ahead. Just take your mask off.
I just want to take this time to congratulate Christine Gertain. She's been selected as a New Jersey State finalist for the Presidential Awards for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. This prestigious award recognizes Christine's contributions as a teacher of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and computer science in New Jersey. Christine, I can't tell you how very proud I am of your accomplishments.
Anyone else on the board? Old business?
Yes, Mr. Nardini. Mr.
Yes.
Nardini. Yes, actually, Kathy, I actually wanted to just touch on Christine as well. In fact, our whole Authentic Research Science program and the fruits that program has produced. I know you could read it on the website, but 5 of our high school students placed in the Delaware Valley. I know that earlier on Connor mentioned the one student from South, but we actually had 5 students, and I'd like to name them: Viviana Anafrietti, Giovanna Anafrietti, Giulietta Anafrietti, Jake Rice, and Caitlin Culbert. These students now represent, this is a first time history made for our district, that we have students that have earned this first place in a category and also received medals. And this also means that they now will advance on to the ISEF, which is the International Science and Engineering Science Fair. This is the most prestigious science fair in the world. So this doesn't happen, as we say, in a vacuum. It's educational leadership from our top down to those wonderful teachers that make this program thrive, and that is Dr. Mary Beth Kretz and also Mrs. Christine Gertain. And as Mrs. Egan said, she also is receiving that award. And in addition to that, I've also been told that she's been asked to address congressmen and senators about the importance of STEM. So, and so what I want to say is to all of you students and our teachers, and earlier also to Mrs. Gold and the wonderful ESL teachers. I don't know all of you, but I do know Mrs. Mara, and I know Erica also, I believe, is a Mara. The passion, you have brought honor to our families, to your parents, and to our district, and I thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nardini.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Very well said. And for those that are not aware, the father of the Anafrietti girls are in the audience right now. He has to be gleaming.
Oh, good.
Great job, Rob. Great job. Okay, any other old business, new business from the board?
I have new business, Joe. It's Jeff.
Yes.
I'm behind you. Okay. Okay. First of all, we got a letter from a parent a few weeks ago, and I love when we get the nice letters. They're wonderful to read. And she wanted to tell us about how her students are doing with virtual learning, and she has a special education student. But she mentioned a few teachers, and I just wanted to mention them in public. Mrs. York, Miss Rosa, Miss Doherty, and Mrs. Weber. She's saying their praises about how helpful they've been with her students, and how her one son, who is autistic, how he's been pushed and is thriving. And I think it's great to hear things like that. We have such an amazing staff in our district. Also, if anyone has read the newspaper lately, we had a high school North graduate who's in the Navy, Christopher Aschenfelder. He rescued in a helicopter mission in California. He, I think, ascended at 80 feet into murky waters to rescue a boater, and he did an interview on the radio, and I thought that was really cool. He was a high school, so congratulations to him, and we're very proud that he comes from Toms River. I heard some rumblings during the past few weeks about some of our fields, and some parents were complaining about there's dandelions here and there's some weeds here, and I just want to thank our grounds crews for all the work they do. It's spring and we have a lot of land, and we have a bare bones staff right now due to budget cuts, and they are out there 24/7 making sure that our schools look good, and I just want to thank them. There's always a few that complain, and I don't think the majority praises, because we just think it's normal that everything looks the way that it does. So I just want to thank our crews for everything that they do. Seeing these students here tonight, these athletes with their grade point averages and some going to Princeton and UNC, it's such a testimony to our students and our coaches and how they push our students to be the best they can be in all aspects of their learning experience. And I think that, you know, you hear sometimes it's easy to cut athletics, cut extracurriculars. We'll figure it out. The parents will pay for it. You know, we'll figure out a way. But it's so important because it's not just swinging a bat or throwing a football or swimming in a pool. They also are so dedicated, and the time they have to put in and balance with their sports and their academics, and they achieve such great things, and they make a name for our district, and they make us so proud. So I want to say that it's just so important that we have well-rounded students, and that our budget, every time they cut any money from our budget, that's what gets cut. These students get hurt, and I'm tired of it, and I love to see them thriving, and I want to every year to see more and more of that. So I'm hoping that this S2 fiasco finally gets figured out eventually. With that, the Toms River Education Foundation, I was at a track meet the other day, and I had a football player come over to me with his phone to show me the new High School South football uniforms. And as a board member of the foundation, I'd like to thank, we have so much support from inside the district for it, and to see the new uniforms coming. I know if you've gone to a South game for the past 20 years, 17 years, it's been the same uniform. Some kids wear the same numbers, and I'm excited for the new season and for the students. And I want that student, I didn't get his name, but I was so excited that he showed me a picture of their new jerseys. I'm sorry, I'm almost done, Joe. We have been going through a lot in the public lately, and it doesn't paint a pretty picture of us. And as board members, we are the only elected officials in New Jersey. Some states pay their Board of Education members. In New Jersey, they are not paid. It might, I don't know if it goes district by district, but in New Jersey, we don't get paid. And we put a lot of hours in, and we signed up for it, and we knew it was going to be like that. But when you have to do contract negotiations and different extra things, are not just the committees and the board meetings and a superintendent search, we take a lot of time away from our families and a lot of time away from our lives to do this. And over the past few days, everything that's been going on in the newspapers and on social media about, you know, our superintendent search and all this stuff, it's disheartening that we put all this time in, and that all those hours kind of get not wasted, because we still have to make a decision, but all of our work, it gets kind of exploited, and it bothers me. I have 6 children. My husband's on his second deployment in like 6 months, and I signed up for this. I married someone in the Air Force, but when we put all this time in and someone thinks that they can take that away from us, it bothers me, and I hope it bothers the rest of the board, that we're dedicated board members, and we do this for the students, and everything should be student-based. Every decision we make should be about students and our teachers and our community. It should not be political. It should be about our students. These students are losing out on things because of our budget, and there's so many other ways for people to spend their time, and it should be calling Trenton, writing letters, volunteer, see what some students need, not making a spectacle of what we do. And I wasn't going to say anything, but I had to say something about that. And then one more thing, I'm sorry. Just to echo what Anna was saying, the apology to Mr. Sitta. Mr. Sitta has worked in our district for over 20 years. He's a dedicated principal right now of the building that we are in, which everyone knows how much pride runs through the buildings of South. I just want to say thank you to him for his dedication, his hard work, his pride, loving everything about Toms River and all he does for the staff and students. And the articles written about him being demoted, and the court of public opinion found him guilty. It's so ridiculous, and it's sad, and it's pathetic. And I just want Mr. Sitta to know that we, as the board and the district, we appreciate everything he's done for our students, and I don't want anyone to ever take that away from him. So that's all I have, Joe. Thank you.
Jen, thank you. I sincerely mean that. Thank you. Everything was very well said and appreciated.
Mr. Nardini?
Yes, Mr. Mazenko.
Well, I can't pile enough onto the congratulations for Ms. Gertain and her students. It's a huge achievement. I can't say enough about the ASR program, and it's not just because I was in it. It's a really great program. You see some of the amazing things that are done year in and year out, and I'm glad that this board continues to support it. And it's nice to hear about things like the ASR program and all the student awards tonight. It's a great distraction from the circus, which is really what this last week has been. It's embarrassing. I know I came here to hear about things like Ms. Gertain's achievements and the ASR students' achievements and support those teachers and students and not to play political games. And that's all this has become in the last week. Thank you.
Thank you. That's what our school is all about. Anyone else?
Mr. Nardini?
Yes, Ms. Palazzo.
I just want to one more time thank our administrative team and all of our Toms River Regional Schools staff for doing the hard work that they do each and every day and caring for our students as well as they do within the constraints of a budget that is $38 million under adequacy. I can't say it often enough. It's a miracle that we have students that are moving along to Princeton. And the young man who received the award tonight was not the only student from this building that is going to Princeton this year. Toms River High School South is our most diverse, poorest high school in the Toms River Regional School District, and we have multiple students going on to Ivy League schools. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of our dedicated teaching staff and everyone who supports them in building capacity in these children. And that requires relationships. And relationships are really hard to maintain as class sizes grow. Every time we put another body in a high school classroom, we're adding 20 minutes of work to that teacher's workload. That 20 minutes of work outside the classroom divides the attention that they're able to give those children inside the classroom. We really, really need help. And we need the community support in asking for that help. It's not right that the school district has to operate under adequacy the way it is. It's not right that we have to take money intended to compensate for pandemic learning loss for poor children and use that to maintain teaching positions to try and keep things close to status quo. And not even status quo, just close to status quo, because we are reducing positions. There are adults that won't be here in this building next year because we can't afford to keep them. In addition to valuable staff that are retiring, people with decades of knowledge, incredible knowledge about how children learn. Because the learning is what's important. And that happens in our classrooms, on our fields, in our cafeterias, in our hallways. And it happens, the relationships that facilitate that are with the school secretaries and the janitorial staff and the tech guys and the cafeteria staff and the paras and the teachers and the administrators. There are people in this district that my children consider family. They ask about them all the time. They miss them. They miss the people that they see in the hallways of the school that know them by name, whose classroom they never sat in. Those relationships go away as our staff to student ratios go up, and the adults no longer have time for those critical interactions that help build student capacity. We really need your support in telling Trenton that they have made a mistake, and we need to have adequate resources to care for our students and our staff and our community. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Palazzo. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none. I will open up to inquiries from guests and press, limited to 5 minutes. And members of the public are invited to comment on any school district matter. So Debbie D. Benedettis, this is your time. During this public comment portion of the meeting, and each speaker's comments will be limited to 5 minutes. The board, pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, will not publicly discuss personnel matters. All statements, comments, and questions shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question individual board members, administrators, or staff. The board will give all comments appropriate consideration. Board members and employees retain the right of privacy and are protected against defamation and slander according to laws of New Jersey. Please state your name and address for the record, and please help me out here because you're held to 5 minutes, so please do your best. Thank you.
Hi, are we on? Great. Hi, I'm Rachel Remolgato, 67 10th Street, Toms River. Thank you for the opportunity. I was recently asked to participate as a parent representative for the Arts Academy Advisory Board for our district. And as a parent, a proud parent of a junior in the theater and dance strands, I humbly and gratefully accepted. We have met twice so far, and I can report that, in my opinion, the students of this academy are receiving a high-quality curriculum, being exposed to many opportunities both in and out of the classroom, and producing some amazing content. For example, Mrs. Carolyn Little, the director of the Theater Arts Strand, rolled out a brand new, dynamic, and engaging program this year, all during the constraints of the pandemic. Considering the devastating effects of S2, my fear is that these opportunities are an endangered species. How much longer will it be before the shoestring budget our district is hanging on by frays and snaps? It broke my heart when it became evident that our district was not going to be represented in numbers like prior years at the state budget hearings. Without the diligence of a very small number of board members and community members, the public fight for fair funding would be practically silent coming from our district. Where is the outcry and the outrage on behalf of our kids? As a parent and community member, I get enraged when I see how much time and energy and resources are being spent on issues that have nothing to do with the quality of education for our kids. Listen, there's so many hours in the day, and instead of being the mouthpiece of political parties or potential superintendent candidates, how about being the mouthpiece of our kids? Those that are paying attention can see what is going on. And there is no reason that a group of adults cannot work together and hire a new superintendent for our district. Tens of thousands of dollars need to be spent to hire a super? Really? Get the personal agendas and politics out of our classrooms. Let's put the needs of our kids first. Put the damn kids first. And just to end on a positive note, I want to thank all for the dedication to those that are here for the right reasons, because I know that you're here. And thank you to the educators, the support staff, and our administrators who continue to do more with less every year without even skipping a beat. You are my heroes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Remigaldo. Thank you very much.
Joe, Mr. Nardini?
Yes, Ms. Howe.
I just want to say also, Mrs. Remolgato, thank you so much. Mrs. Remolgato went to the Township Council meeting in Toms River last night and spoke to the council about being a bigger voice for us in Trenton, and I appreciate you taking 2 nights in a row to support our students. We appreciate you so much, and I hope parents see what you do and other parents do. We see the same parents here all the time, and I am hopeful, and we have a lot online, and I hope they're listening. It doesn't take more than 15 minutes to make phone calls and to show up at a meeting, so thank you so much, and last night, we really appreciate it, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Howe. Anyone from the audience?
Melissa Morrison, 624 Mermaid Avenue, Beechwood. Our children suffer because of personal agendas. Messy, disgusting, flat out embarrassing, pathetic. They all need to go at this point. This is why we can't have nice things. Disgraceful, and anyone involved should step down. Those are the comments from our community that I've read over the past few days on social media. When we look at this situation as a whole, it's not really about the messenger, it's solely about the message. Any person that supports another person trying to intimidate another should really take a look at themselves. One's character and integrity are the most important attributes, always. Board members are sworn in and are expected to act in the best interest of our children. If there are any board members that do not have our children's best interests at heart, then they should resign from their position. If there are any board members that act unethically, please do so and resign. If there are any board members that are taking away from our children, not advocating for our children, not speaking up against S2, then please resign. If any board member has an underlying personal political agenda and think they're part of the cool kid club, please do our children a favor and resign. Because the only cool kids in this district are the 15,000 plus children that our district serves and the faculty, staff, and administrators that make up our district.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison.
Mr. Nardini, if I may say something?
I'm sorry?
May I say something?
Oh, yes. I didn't know where you were.
I'm on virtual tonight. I'm out of
Go ahead,
town.
Lisa.
I would just like to say to the board members that are present and to the public and everyone that's tuning in that, you know, we saw all of the allegations that have been flying around and all of the chatter about the search process. And Ashley and Palmieri and I never discussed anything confidential that couldn't have been brought to public light. We have, however, suffered significant pressure from many sides, many individuals in and out of the district for their choice of a particular superintendent candidate. And our response has been consistent to please trust that we will choose the best person for the job. We will stay above the fray going forward. We are not responsible for the circus that has ensued on social media. But we do think that things needed to be cleared up and some transparency as to us being accused of having a political agenda. We have nothing to gain. This is, as Jen Howe says often, this is a volunteer position, which I do now because I have the time to dedicate, because I do love this town. I love the district. I love the children. And that is the only reason that we are both in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Contessa. Anyone else from the audience?
Good evening. My name is Chris Raymond. I live at 111 Flack Street, Toms River, New Jersey. I chose to miss my son's baseball game at High School South here tonight versus East because I felt it was important to speak about a few things. Mr. Nardini, if you'll give me a few minutes.
Go right ahead.
One is Mr. Gianello probably does not remember me, but in 2012, I believe, or 13, before Mr. Healy became the super, I got to meet him when I got in front of the board. I was questioning the four-tier status of the buses, and Mr. Gianello was great about it. I think we disagreed a little bit through an email, but always professional. I wanted to thank you for coming back. I feel like you've been the captain of the ship. You've kept things credible. I feel like the district right now is in a good place, despite what Mrs. Palazzo and a few other people spoke about tonight. I'm sorry you're going to leave us. We could use you or somebody like you for years to come. So I wish you well. And I think you've really put this district in a good place for now. I'm not sure how you guys did it with this budget, but thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Chris, and I do remember you. And I remember your dad, of course.
Thank you.
I'm old enough to remember your dad and had worked with him and enjoyed him a lot. But thank you for your kind words.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Next year, when you're not working, we ask you to come play golf for Toms River South, the Diamond Club. A couple things, Joe, you spoke about which I didn't even know about, was your son-in-law retiring, Dave, quality human being. I'm sorry he's leaving the district. I truly cared about him. Wendy York, I'm sorry to hear she's leaving. I think Mrs. Howe, Mrs. Ryan, our kids went through her, and if you ever get a chance, go on YouTube, you can watch her at the end of the year. She does this song with John Denver. It will make you cry how our children went through Wendy York, and I will deeply miss her. Again, I came here for a couple reasons. I'm not happy with what's going on in our district. As Mr. Doring and others have stated, we're losing our funding, we're losing our teachers, and here we are. I feel like we're fighting with each other. As a parent, this is not what we should be doing. I didn't really script it. I had a couple bullet points here, but I went to the council meeting last night. I think Mrs. Howe spoke a little bit about it, and it really made me want to speak. Mr. Turnbach, one of the council people, spoke about his concerns, how a possible council member may be interfering with the school bird search. And then, of course, I went and watched the video. Mrs. Egan spoke last week at a committee meeting, and she spoke about a council person, calling her. And I'm not sure if she's comfortable, but I would, through you, Mr. Nardini, can I ask Mrs. Egan who called her?
Hold on.
Is that permissible?
Just hold on a second.
Okay.
Is it okay with you? Is it okay with you if he asks you?
The question is, who called Mrs. Egan? She does not have to answer that question. It's a matter of privacy at this point.
Can he ask if she can say no?
She can say whatever she wants. I'm just saying she does not have to answer that question. He can ask it. He can ask anything he wants.
Mr. Raymond, you're welcome to ask it.
Thank you, Mr. Lund. So the question, Mrs. Egan, through the board president, are you willing to share with us who contacted you from the Toms River Township Council?
Well, I will respond to you, mainly because I was at the town council meeting last night, and it came out anyway. There was Dan Roderick, who, when he was at, everyone on the board was asked if they had contacted me. He was very good at deflecting the question by saying that he knows me and that we've been out to breakfast and dinner. I do have to say, I do know Dan Roderick because I used to be a union leader, and he's involved in Monmouth County Union, so that's how I do know him. I just have to say something because it's starting to really bother me to think that I caused so many problems here in Toms River and for the school district. I only brought up the phone call last time.
Let me interrupt, Mrs. Egan. Just caution you that the things you're saying could be a basis for some concern. Okay, so.
I'm not calling anyone out on anything.
No, I'm just saying, whatever you're saying is recorded.
Right.
And I'm just cautioning you to be guided by what you say, okay?
Mostly I'm saying what I said last week. I didn't want to use a person's name because I didn't want this to get political. I wanted this to just be something important for our district, and the superintendent search, that to me, I think we should be able to find the best superintendent available. As I said last week, and I say it again this week, this was not, and is not a political statement. The person from the town council did contact me, and that is why I brought it to the board, because I felt that it was becoming much too political. And as a result, that is why I did it. As for, I can bring up the ethics complaint, since it's against me. I can bring up an ethics complaint since it's against me.
I don't think you want to discuss that publicly at this point. I mean, the board president has asked me to examine all of these things. I have not had the time to do that. I think I would be cautioning you to refrain from discussing it.
We're discussing the report that came out about me, and Mr. Leone is saying that he has not had time to look through everything, so he cautions me to say anything about it. I just know that as as a retired educator and a person that was totally involved in the school district for many years, Anna commented about how our retired teachers have so much to share and so much mentoring and so forth. As a retired person and as being involved in this Toms River Schools for so long, I honestly feel that I can share some of my information with fellow board members, and that is what I felt I was doing. I offered some of the insight, which I feel, like I said, Anna was pointing that out at this before. I just want everyone to know, I did not try to cause any kind of turmoil for this district, because it is not something that I ever want for this district. I ran for the board so I could listen and to discuss what is best for our school district. And we should be able to debate. We should be able to have a common goal, and we should be able to keep politics totally out of anything that we are doing. Thank you.
So you're not comfortable answering who called you?
I did. I started off with, it was Dan Roderick.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. And I know you, and I know who you are, and you're on this board like several other members for the right reasons. And I know I'm losing my time here, Joe. Last night, Mr. Turnbrock brought it to the attention of Mr. Gahagan from the council that a letter was issued by Joe Nardini approximately 1 year ago, which anybody could do through Oprah. It was then you were, what were you, the vice president at this point, Joe? Or
I was president at the time.
And Joe, Mr. Nardini authored a letter. He had concerns about Councilman Roderick. There's a letter here. I know you're aware of the letter. But candidly or clearly, based upon last night's council meeting, based upon Mrs. Egan's commentary, and then what I found through the New Jersey election report. And again, Mr. Leone, this is what you're doing here. The board president, the entire members here, my concern is that I believe that there has been some type of undue influence regarding trying to hire a superintendent like Mrs. Palazzo spoke about. I'll leave you, Joe, with the elect reports, which does show that Mr. Roderick is tied to two of the existing board members. Money was moved back and forth. I think it should be looked at. And, candidly, I went to a Central Regional baseball game the other night, and I got to find out who the two people are who are left. And I won't give their names, but I can tell you one of them's in this room right now, and he's not being given a fair shake. And one of the guys who I know interviewed, because he's my neighbor, because at the other South game, we find out he was cut, is my friend and my neighbor, Mike Sitta, who's got kids at home. And like Mrs. Palazzo talks about, his name's being run through the mud for what? He's a good human being. He doesn't deserve this, nor does Mr. Ricotta. So I don't know what you guys are going to do moving forward. I know Mr. Gianello has got to leave us, but I'd go through the process again. If Mr. Tom here can't stay, find somebody to fill the seat, but do it the right way. This is not the way we should be doing business. Our schools are too important, and I don't have anything to say other than that, Joe. I'm glad you're feeling better, your health, and thanks for letting me speak tonight. But this is, as these other ladies stated, this is not what our town should be. The meeting last night was horrible. This is better, but people's character are being run through the mud for what? So I ask you to take these documents. I'm going to leave them here. I ask somebody to look into something, because I got my kids who have to go through this district for many more years. And this is not what we should be doing. We need a leader. We don't need a politician. Whether it's Mr. Ricotta, Mr. Sitta, whoever else, they deserve a fair shake, and this is not a fair shake. So thank you for letting me speak more than 5 minutes, but something's got to change in the district. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond, for coming up. Anyone else from the audience?
Joe, you'll take possession of this stuff?
I'm going to come get them now.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Palazzo will pick it up. Maybe give it to council.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience? Okay. Hearing none. Good to go. We'll open up the phone line, 732-505-5600. I know who this is. Good evening, and thank you for calling into the Toms River Board of Ed meeting this evening. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, this is Debbie DeBenedictis. I live at 29 Camelot Drive.
You're getting cheers.
I want to apologize for my calling in at the wrong time. I apologize to you and everyone there. I'm
No,
sorry
not
about that.
it's not necessary. Not necessary at all. You're getting cheers from the audience, just so you know.
There you go. Well, you'll remember me. Okay. So the reason I am calling tonight is to express my concern for what's happening to a wonderful, hardworking teacher at the Silver Bay Elementary School, and it's happening this year. She needs to be virtual due to a medical situation, but now is being forced to leave, and Friday is her last day. This teacher has been and is a wonderful influence on the children at Silver Bay, and now is having to leave because she cannot come back into the classroom due to medical circumstances that actually occurred before COVID-19 with a diagnosis of cancer. So my grandson is in her class. Sadly, he was overlooked and not helped as much as he should have been in first grade. But now she is providing such strength and motivation, and he's finally receiving the attention that he needs. And even with her medical needs, she's always there with her dedication, like everyone has been talking about tonight, her preparation of lessons, her time that she gives for both educational and emotional needs. And I truly feel to make her leave a class, a second grade class, with less than 2 months left in a school year is not only devastatingly thoughtless, but also not keeping in with the best interests of our children. I'm hearing that children can stay virtual for the rest of the year, so I just don't understand why she can't and finish out the year with her class. It just seems unfair to me. And I guess I wanted to just say that I'm hoping maybe some decisions and choices being made can be reconsidered so that we do keep a stable learning environment for our children to finish the year with the teacher that they've worked so hard with, you know, going back and forth virtual. I mean, it is an elementary second grade class. And I just feel it's so important that she's able to finish the year with her children. So again, I thank you for listening to me, and I hope you all have a good night, but I just really feel that this is something that should be reconsidered.
Thank you so much for calling, and thank you for your patience waiting to the end of the meeting.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Good evening, and thank you for calling into the Toms River Board of Ed meeting. Please state your name and address for the record.
John Becker, 112 Holly Street, Toms River.
Yes, Mr. Becker, how can we help you?
I'm calling because I just want to echo Mrs. Howe's and Mrs. Palazzo's comments on behalf of the staff and students of High School South in regards to Mr. Sitta. Mr. Sitta cares so much about the South staff and the South students and the South community. And character and integrity is what he has every day. And to lump his name in with what is happening this week is a disservice to him and his family. And I just want to say that that we love Mr. Sitta, and he's so great for this community, and he does a great job every single day for all of us. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Thank you for calling in. Good evening, and thank you for calling in to the Toms River Board of Ed meeting tonight. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Board President Nardini. This is Councilman Dan Roderick. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, Mr. Roderick. How can we help you?
Well, I just called in. I would like it on the record that a mail piece came around today, and Mr. Raymond, who just came up to the mic and claimed that this was political, is the only person who's political here. I mean, he's on a mail piece that's circulating today from my opponent, Jason Crispin. Additionally, Kathy Egan's stunt was nothing more than a political stunt. She's the only person who's violated ethics. And she also has Mr. Crispin's sign on her lawn. And this evening, a text message went township-wide accusing me of meddling in your school board race. And nothing could be further from the truth. The truth is the only person that is meddling as far as the superintendent's appointment is concerned and that has violated ethics is Kathy Egan. And I would like that on the record, and I wanted an opportunity to respond both to Ms. Egan and to former board member Chris Raymond. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Roderick. Have a good evening.
You too.
Is it? Okay. We have no other takers. Even if I give away a sewing machine, we got nobody to call in here. Okay.
No, we don't need a second.
Sorry?
No second. We're closing.
Oh.
Huh?
I can hear you.
No second, exactly.
Oh, we don't?
Nope.
Oh. So I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion, Palazzo?
Second, Mazanko.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.